As the interim IBF welterweight champion, Boots continues to be itching for a fight against a significant name in the 147-pound weight class. Many people believe that a win for Boots is nothing more than a formality. Even though the oddsmakers have Ennis labeled as a heavy favorite, the real issue is how the Philadelphia Slugger stacks up against the other players in the division. In addition, it's generally agreed that the switch-hitting Ennis is the future of the division. His triumphs against the likes of former junior welterweight title holder Sergey Lipinets, fighters like Thomas Delorme and Custio Clayton, and his most recent victory over Royman Villa are all eye-popping examples of his dominance over his competition. Thus, keep watching this video to find out why Jaron Ennis will be the face of boxing. A combination of different fighting styles. It's possible that Ennis's ability to transition between the orthodox and southpaw stances provides him with the biggest edge over his rivals. In addition to this, he has reflexes like a cat and is at ease moving about the ring, often doing moves that resemble dancing. For example, he changed his posture during each round of his toughest fight, which was against Sergey Lipinets, a previous holder of the junior welterweight belt. Ennis began the fight in an orthodox stance, then shifted to a southpaw stance in the second round, and continued to modify stances after that. However, positions can only go so far and need to be backed up by extra tangibles in order to be considered convincing. In the vast majority of his bouts, Ennis has shown himself to be the more aggressive fighter early on. His continuous jab prevents the opposition fighter from evaluating him and determining their distance from him on their end of the ring. He had an extraordinary ability to double jab by delivering 2 successive knockout blows with the same hand throughout his bouts against Lipinets and, most recently, Custio Clayton and Royman Villa. However, this does come with a little defect. Ennis will sometimes spring forward and leave both feet while throwing jabs or power punches, which may have a greater significance than the phraseology implies. Instead of lunging forward and taking a stride towards his opponent, he jumps and simultaneously moves to the side to sidestep a counter-punch. This is quite comparable to Shawn Porter and Manny Pacquiao, both of whom are known for their aggressive tendencies, and both of them scored points by performing a variety of feints, shifting their feet, and leaping techniques. On the other hand, we've seen how boxers with strong defenses, like Floyd Mayweather and Errol Spence Jr., fared when they faced up against a style of boxing like that. Before Ennis can go to a more difficult competition, he probably has to clean things up. A trickle-down effect. Boots always goes into a battle on the offensive and wears his opponents down with his superior walking speed. In many situations, he wears out his opponents early on by jabbing them, both to the head and the body, which is where he's most successful. But in the battle he had against Armando Alvarez, he came out swinging and landed a flurry of punches right from the off. Ennis, unlike the majority of boxers that enter the ring, did not waste any time in letting Alvarez know how little regard he had for Alvarez's boxing, and Alvarez was surprised by this. Eventually, his opponent succumbed to the erosion, and was knocked down twice in the third round before the fight was halted. Because of his self-assurance, Ennis often plays mind games with his rivals. He channeled his inner Roy Jones Jr. in all of the battles that were described, swinging his right arm or throwing his palms down in a mocking manner. Boxing is a sport in which defense is the key to victory. Ennis is exceptionally skilled at defending himself, and the credit for this must be given to his corner, which is led by Ennis's father and trainer Derek "Bozy" Ennis. Therefore, Bozy was responsible for teaching Ennis solid defensive tactics. His head movement is of the highest caliber. He's able to avoid blows with the best of them because he anticipates them before they occur. He's skilled in the Philly shell style, which is sometimes shown because of his sense of responsibility to pay homage to his origins. However, he also has a small weakness in that he may be struck in the upper body, as seen by the fact that Alvarez was able to land a flush uppercut on him. In the second round of their fight against one another, he took a vicious right hook to the jaw from Lipinets, which may have been the hardest punch he's ever been hit with. But once Boots is put in a position where he must compete against rivals whose very names demand respect, it's reasonable to suppose that his tactics will likely become more stoic. Jaron Ennis remains undefeated with a 10th round KO of his last fighter, Royman Villa. Jared "Boots" Ennis, a rising star in the world of boxing, preserved his perfect record by knocking out Royman Villa in the 10th round of their welterweight battle in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Before knocking out Villa with a couple of punishing right punches and a chopping left, Ennis impressed with his ultra-quick hands and quick twitch movement. In order to put a stop to the one-sided thrashing, Referee David Fields suddenly called off the main event of the PBC on Showtime fight card, without taking a count almost midway through round 10. In the meanwhile, Ennis had no trouble dealing with Villa and started dishing out punishment as soon as the bell rang. Ennis had his match stretched into round 7 for just the second time, giving him plenty of chance to demonstrate his formidable arsenal. The Philadelphian blended in lightning-fast right punches off his southpaw jab and made Villa look foolish at times by escaping his wide blows. Even though Villa's nose was bleeding at the conclusion of the second round, he never quit pushing himself forward. The 30-year-old Venezuelan, despite being outclassed, showed that he was up to the challenge. Villa, who has a record of 26-2 with 24 knockouts, entered the ring fresh off his most impressive victory to date, a majority decision victory over Rashidi Ellis in January, during which he scored 2 knockdowns. In his professional career, Villa, who is ranked as the number 10 welterweight by ESPN, had never been knocked down before, but Ennis's barrage of flush punches ultimately did him in. In the 6th round, Ennis buckled Villa's knees with a flurry of right hands and had his opponent in severe difficulty for the last 30 seconds of the round. But Villa was able to remain on his feet despite Ennis's assault of punches. In round 7, Ennis looked to hit Villa once again with the left uppercut, a blow that he had previously used to do harm on many occasions. So, in the end, Ennis hit 227 punches successfully during the course of 9.5 rounds, while Villa only managed to land 65. His next opponent. After the fashion in which he destroyed his opponent Royman Villa by a knockout in the 10th round, Jaron "Boots" Ennis, who is the IBF interim welterweight champion, may need to settle for an old-timer for his next battle. This is because of the manner in which he won the fight. Boots' performance against Villa, a knockout artist with a record of 26 wins, 2 draws, and 24 knockouts, may have dissuaded any possible significant opponents from challenging him in the future. After what he did to Villa, the top-tier names that carry any worth for Boots, including Keith Thurman, Eimantas Stanionis, and Alexis Rocha, surely won't want to face him anymore. As a result, old washed-up men like Thurman and Ugas are so precious to Boots now because of this. Thurman has already made it clear that he will not be fighting Ennis at this time. Also, Thurman will attempt to make a move to face whoever emerges victorious from the fight between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. The only way that Thurman would agree to face Ennis is if the PBC gave him a treasure chest full of money, the sort of cash that he earned for the fight in 2019 versus Manny Pacquiao. Other than that, there is no way that Thurman would agree to fight Ennis. Because Thurman has been inactive for so many years, boxing fans have mostly forgotten about him, and new fans see him to be a balding old person who often conducts interviews with Brian Custer. Therefore, it's unlikely that this will take place. In addition, when asked at the post-fight news conference whether he would be open to facing WBA secondary welterweight champion Eimantas Stanionis next, Jaron Ennis said, "If we can't get Crawford or Spence, then I'm open to fighting Eimantas Stanionis. Stanionis, Ugas, or anybody else. I'd take any of them." However, Stanionis hasn't been in the ring since April of last year, and it's possible that he or his promoters would rather not face Boots after such a lengthy break from competition. Also, Stanionis, who holds the title of WBA regular welterweight champion, spent a lot of time attempting to get his bout against Virgil Ortiz off the calendar, but was forced to postpone it many times. As a result, he has nothing to show for his efforts. If you believe that Jaron Ellis will become the most recognizable boxer in the years to come, please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. And that wraps things up. We appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Please hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.